So we're going to start with our, just lying on our back. So we're just going to begin with a little bit of self-care. So we're going to take ourselves all the way down. You're going to take a bolster or a blanket, a hard pillow, place it underneath your knees. And make sure that your heels can touch the floor so the legs can be really relaxed. You're going to close down your eyes. And just bring your awareness to your breath. So our 5 senses inform our physical self. And our 5 senses keep our mind very busy. And so when we shut down even just one of those senses, so when we close down the eyes, we have far less input. Our other senses will sharpen, but our eyes tend to be one of our busier senses. So when we close the eyes down, we become far more aware of what's going on inside. And then if we direct our attention to different parts of our body, we're going to get a much deeper sense of them than we get with the eyes open, when the eyes can be so easily distracted. And so with the eyes closed, just bringing your awareness to your breath. And the breath is going to inform you about your mental state. Your levels of stress and anxiety will show up here. If you're deeply relaxed and calm, that will show up here. But don't be too concerned or judgmental on how the breath is to begin with, because it's something we can really easily manage. It's a tool that we can easily manipulate to bring ourselves into a greater sense of calm and peace. So even just taking our awareness to the breath without doing anything else will generally begin to slow it down. And then if we consciously begin to breathe a little more deeply, that's going to be very calming for the body. And we're lying down, so we're nice and grounded. We've got the earth underneath us to support us. And often when we take this position, there's a sense of plugging into Mother Earth to recharge our batteries. And so you can feel very happy just to stay as you are. Or you can take all 10 fingers and place them on the hairline, and then slowly draw the fingers back towards the skull. So taking them into the hair, and just gently taking the hands through, and beginning to give yourself a really gentle, very soft head massage. So just taking the fingers through, we can begin to take them from the eyebrows. So we take the fingers across the forehead, across the temples. If that doesn't feel so great, just stick to the hairline. We can also take the palms of our hands and just gently press them and create little circles, especially at the temples. It might feel nice to take the hands onto the eye sockets and give them a gentle massage. Maybe to the jaw, where the jaw meets the skull. And gently release the hands down. Take another deep breath here. And we're going to slowly come on out of there. We're going to come on into our first posture. So we're going to start lying on our belly. And it's going to start a little timer here. So we're going to start on our belly. And you're going to take your right arm and thread it underneath you. And then just lie down on that arm. And extend your left arm out in front. So the back of the arm is getting stretched. And of course, if it's really strong, you can roll out of it a little. But if it's comfortable, then having the arm underneath you, you're placing a little bit of body weight onto the arm, and that's going to deepen the stretch. Try as much as you can to soften the hand to the floor, to soften the forehead to the floor. And so just taking your awareness to the breath. We're aiming for long, slow, even and deep breaths. Breathing in and out through the nose. We want to try to soften the rest of the body as much as we can. And so as you become aware of any areas that might be gripping or doing more than what is required, then see if you can soften them. And this includes the jaw. This includes the muscles around the eyes, the forehead. Encouraging the whole body to be soft. And take a deep breath in. Long breath out. And then slowly roll off that arm. I'm going to come on up. So taking your bolster, just placing it along the right side of your mat. So we've got a couple of options for this one. We can come into hamstring stretch here. So bringing the toes back towards you. Or you can take the toes to the floor and slide that leg away from you as far as is comfortable until the toes start to want to lift up. And then once you get there, just sort of drop out to the side and land onto that pillow or cushion. And then we fold down. So it's like a really messy split. And this is going to get into the hip flexor. It's going to be a nice stretch for the glutes. And of course, you're going to get the hamstrings as well. But whenever we take a forward fold, we encourage introspection. So as well as closing down the eyes, just taking this forward fold position makes it easier to draw our awareness within. And so some of us that practice yoga or meditation fairly frequently, we can be really good at just cutting off, at finding this comfortable pattern, recognizing the breath, closing the eyes, and recognizing these steps as part of a ritual to draw us in, to bring the awareness inside. And that's all very well until sometimes you have a stressful day or something that's really playing on your mind. And then the moment you close your eyes, everything just amplifies. Everything gets louder, busier, more demanding. And I feel that that's okay. I feel that every now and again, it's okay to give yourself some time out where all you really do is just mull over any of those things that are demanding your attention. And you can make that part of your self-care practice to say, okay, for the next half an hour, I'm going to allow myself to really mull this over. I'm going to try and do it from a compassionate position. I'm going to try to do it. Take a deep breath in, long breath out, slowly come on out. So I'm going to try to be compassionate, but I'm also going to try to allow myself to do this from a little distance. So we're going to bring our right leg down to be the bottom leg. We're going to bring our bolster or our cushion alongside or out in front. We're going to fold over. And then depending on the health of your neck, you might be fine here and just rest your forehead down, or you might be able to twist your head to look the opposite way to the legs and to melt down here. So that's going to be a nice little stretch for the neck. And then just giving yourself a little bit of time. So we've got the hips pointing in one direction and we've got the thoracic spine gently twisting the opposite way. And then potentially you've turned the head so you've got the neck having a gentle twist here too. And then just allowing the body to get heavy. And so with each new posture, a new chance to go a little deeper. And if you're dedicating this time to allow yourself to think, and just remembering to do that from a distance, allowing yourself to be an observer, to allow the thoughts to come, but trying not to get too involved. It helps when we take a little distance to be a little more rational, to be a little more compassionate towards ourselves. And hopefully in that you'll find some clarity. Take a deep breath in. Long breath out. Slowly come on up. So this next one is one of my favorites. We're still on the right side. This will be our last posture before we start a new sequence. You're going to bring our hips up and on top of the bolster. We're going to come to lie down all the way down on our right side, taking your left arm overhead. You might bend that bottom knee so that that bottom knee can find the floor. What we're getting here is a lovely, very passive lateral flexion for the spine. And because the hips are the highest point, the hips are getting a great stretch. So if you spend a lot of time sitting, and most of us do, then just enjoying that sense of opening up through the side body. You might even feel it in your QL, in the back. With the arms overhead, that might be a nice stretch for you too. And then again, just close down the eyes. Doing a little scan from the inside and noticing any areas that are holding on, encouraging them to be soft. Take a deep breath in, long breath out, and slowly coming up. I'm going to take all of that on the other side, so I'm going to change direction. I'm going to come to lie on your belly, with your feet just up on the bolster behind you. And you're going to thread your left arm through, so the palm faces up, and take the forehead to the floor, and reach the right arm long. It's really interesting to notice this from side to side. And just thinking about the different ways we use our body. So for the ladies especially, thinking about which shoulder usually holds the handbag. Thinking about which side is your dominant side. Are you right-handed or left-handed? And then feeling how that shows up. Take a deep breath in. Long breath out. And then slowly roll off your arm. We're going to come into that lunge or hamstring stretch. So you take your bolster long ways on the left side, and either coming into our little hamstring stretch here, or sliding that leg out, keep the toes down, slide the leg out as far as you can before the toes want to lift up. And then when you get there, just roll out to the side. So resting, I've got my leg up on the bolster, and I'm just going to fold forward from here. So kind of like a drunken splits. And close the eyes. Once again, coming into this forward fold position. And if you're able to fold far enough that you can support the third eye, that's really grounding and nice. And so our target muscle is the left glute and hip, hamstring, back. There's a lot going on. And where you feel it will depend on, once again, how you use your body. What activity you've done in the recent past. Take a deep breath in and a long breath out. Use an inhale to lift you up. Just slide that front leg back towards you. You might move your bolster just a little more central. So the legs are bent. We'll take the chest down onto the bolster and then complete this rotation by turning the head back, but only if that feels okay on the neck. Otherwise, forehead down, this is great. You've still got that rotation in the lower back, lumbar spine, and otherwise turning the head. And try to allow the chest to get heavy. So in yin yoga, we're not concerned with perfecting our pose. Our real focus is how deeply we can relax into a pose. Take a deep breath in, long breath out, and slowly come on up. Take your bolster across the mat, and you're going to lift yourself up to place the hips up on top of the bolster, and take the arms long. You're going to feel that stretch into the outside of the hip. If it feels okay, extend the arms overhead. That's going to intensify it. So if it's too much, just bring that arm down and rest it on the waist. Take a deep breath in, long breath out. Coming up slowly from this one. It's such a big stretch. So for our final pose, I'm going to take our bolster long ways on the mat, and we're going to come up, bringing our big toes together and our knees wide. And we're going to slowly lower ourselves down over the bolster. Now this is a great big stretch for our quads and opening our hips, but it's also a really big back bend. If coming all the way back isn't available to you, this is a really nice option. So just taking the hands behind you, or even resting the elbows back on the bolster, and just softening down. And if your breath can't be calm and deep, And chances are you're asking a little too much from your body. So modify, make it softer and gentler, easier. Because as much as we want to stretch, that's not really our focus. Our focus is on drawing the awareness inside and hopefully coming to a place of calm and quiet. Take a deep breath in, long breath out. Bring the hands to rest beside you, chin to the chest, and come on up. I'm going to go back to where we began, taking the bolster underneath our knees, heels resting on the mat, and laying yourself down. It's a really nice practice to return to the position we started in. And just to notice the changes. So notice how the body feels. And some areas might be warm. I've just had a stretch. You might feel that you have a little more space. Notice where that space is freed up. Notice if it's in the hips or the lower back or the belly, chest. Is it the arms or the neck? And just notice what you notice. Check in with the muscles of the face. Separate your back teeth. Take the tongue and rest it on the roof of the mouth. And see if you notice. Sometimes you get a reaction and the tongue finds that little groove behind the teeth, roof of the mouth. It's like it's got a natural place to sit. And when you make this connection, it feels like you've closed a circle. It's a little mudra, a little energy circle within the body. Now the energy is grounded. It's able to flow freely, circulate throughout the body. You can feel free to stay here if you have time and just relax and use your internal eyes to explore. Otherwise, feeling free to come on out. To fold the hands to prayer, bring the prayer to the third eye. And humbly bow forward. And we say to each other, Namaste.